The Carter family's private jet had always set sail exclusively for my and Owen's romantic getaways. But today, on our third wedding anniversary, there was an extra person in the cabin. The girl wore a white dress, smiling innocently as she waved at me. "Hi, sister-in-law. I'm Grace," Owen said. "He'd bring me along to relax." My gaze fell on her neck, where she wore a scarf I had specially commissioned from a Paris exhibition, the only one of its kind in the world. Owen didn't even lift his head, his tone indifferent. "Sarah, Grace's performance has been good lately, so I rewarded her with this trip." I smiled, took off the diamond ring from my ring finger, and placed it gently on the table in front of him. "Have fun, Mr. Carter. This trip, and our marriage, ends here." I turned and walked toward the cabin door. Grace immediately put on a tearful expression, tugging at Owen's sleeve. "Owen, did sister-in-law misunderstand? It's all my fault. I shouldn't have come." Owen finally frowned. He grabbed my wrist, his grip a bit too tight. "Sarah, haven't you made enough of a scene? Throwing a tantrum on our anniversary over an outsideress, this the upbringing of the eldest daughter of the Miller family." I looked at him and suddenly felt that these 3 years had been a joke. Calmly, I pried his hand away. "Owen, you're wrong. First, from the moment I took off the ring, you were no longer an insider to me. Second, I'm not making a scene. I'm notifying you that we are done." With that, I didn't spare him another glance and walked straight down the gangway. The cold wind blew on my face, but I felt incredibly clear-headed. As the dignified eldest daughter of the Miller family, when had I ever suffered such humiliation? If he wanted to see me compete with a mistress, he'd need the capability to make it happen. I took out my phone and called my assistant. "Amy, contact a lawyer immediately to draft a divorce agreement. Also, sell all the shares I hold in projects associated with Carter Corp. Immediately. Right now." On the other end, Amy was clearly stunned, but she reacted quickly. "Yes, Ms. Miller. I'll handle it right away." Hanging up, I looked at the private jet about to take off, a cold smile curling my lips. "Owen, do you think Sarah Miller, can't live without you? You'll soon find out who really can't live without whom." Grace probably thought she had won. Shortly after takeoff, she updated her social media. The photo showed exquisite champagne and desserts in the cabin, and that eye-catching scarf of hers. Thanks to Owen, my bad mood is swept away. Maldives. Here I come. Soon. A mutual friend sent me a screenshot. "Sarah, what's going on?" "Owen." I replied with "watch the show" and turned off my phone. Owen probably thought I was just throwing a tantrum and that he could coax me back after he had his fun. Unfortunately, I never give second chances. At the same time the plane landed in the Maldives, Carter Core stock price began a cliff-like drop without warning. Several core projects funded by me instantly ground to a halt due to a sudden break in the capital chain. Owen's phone must be blowing up right now. I wonder if he's still in the mood to watch the sea with his Grace sister. Owen's call came 3 hours later. I was leisurely swimming in the heated pool at my estate and hung up without even looking. The phone rang persistently. Finding it annoying, I silenced it. Uncle Zhang, the butler, approached with a fruit platter, looking worried. "Miss, the son-in-law's call. Just an irrelevant person." I took off my goggles and wiped the water droplets from my face. "Uncle Zhang, from now on, block anyone and any calls from the Carter family." Uncle Zhang sighed but nodded. "Yes, miss." I knew what Uncle Zhang was worried about. Owen and I had been married for 3 years. In outsiders' eyes, we were a model couple, and the marriage between the Miller and Carter families was a beautiful story in the business world. But they didn't know how much blood the Miller family had transfused into Carter Corp behind this beautiful story. Years ago, when Carter Corp was on the verge of bankruptcy, I went against all objections and persuaded my father to use the Miller family's connections and funds to pull Carter Corp back from the brink. Owen proved capable, taking Carter Corp to new heights in 3 years. Perhaps standing too high made him forget who helped him stand up in the first place. He thought Carter Corp was strong enough to rival the Miller family, or even break free from me. Naive. I sipped my juice and opened the financial news. Carter Core stock mysteriously plummets 20 today. Multiple core projects halted. Market in panic. Below the news was a photo of a disheveled Owen, surrounded by reporters at the Maldives airport. He looked anxious, shouting into his phone, while Grace beside him looked pale with fright. I smiled with satisfaction. This was just the appetizer. The next day, I arranged to meet Owen's biggest rival, Julian, at a private club. Julian wore a well-tailored silver-gray suit, his peach blossom eyes slightly upturned with a hint of cynical amusement. "Ms. Miller, I didn't expect you to contact me proactively." He poured me a glass of wine with elegance. "After all, I am the person your husband hates the most." I swirled the wine glass, the scarlet liquid forming beautiful arcs on the glass wall. "Not for long." Julian raised an eyebrow, his interest deepening. "Oh, how so?" "I'm getting a divorce," I said straightforwardly. "The trouble Carter Corp is facing now is just the beginning. I think Mr. Julian would be very interested in taking this opportunity to reclaim what he took from you back then." Julian's eyes changed instantly. It was the look of a hunter seeing prey after being suppressed for a long time. 3 years ago, the Julian and Carter families competed for a key overseas project. Owen used some underhanded means to defeat Julian disastrously, severely damaging the Julian family's vitality. Julian had held on to this grudge for 3 full years. "How does Ms. Miller want to cooperate?" He leaned forward slightly, a trace of suppressed excitement in his voice. "Simple." I put down the glass and looked straight into his eyes. "I want Carter Corp to disappear completely." Julian smiled and extended his hand. "Happy cooperation, Ms. Miller. Happy cooperation, Mr. Julian. The two of us, one for profit, one for revenge." Hit it off immediately. Owen's good days were over. Photos of my meeting with Julian were soon inadvertently leaked. In the photos, we were chatting happily, behaving intimately. It caused a huge stir. Carter Corp CEO's wife secretly meets rival. Signs of wealthy marriage trouble. Former loving couple turns enemies. Miller-Carter alliance may collapse. Owen flew back from the Maldives overnight and went straight to the company without even going home. What I waited for, however, was a call from my mother-in-law, Mrs. Carter. As soon as the call connected, she launched into a tirade. "Sarah, what exactly are you doing? Owen is overwhelmed. And instead of helping, you run off to meet that villain Julian. Do you want to kill the Carter family?" Her voice was shrill and mean, completely different from the graceful Mrs. Carter I usually saw. I could even imagine her spitting as she spoke. I picked my ear, my tone calm. "Mrs. Carter, have you forgotten that I am also a victim?" "Victim? What right do you have to call yourself a victim?" She sneered. "Men are under a lot of pressure working outside. Isn't it normal to have a fling? As a wife, you should be more magnanimous and understanding. As for that Grace, I've met her. She's a good girl, gentle and considerate. Much better than you. A career woman who only knows work all day." I laughed in anger at her inverted logic. "So, you mean I deserve to be betrayed and should thank the mistress for being understanding? What kind of attitude is this?" Mrs. Carter raised her voice. "Sarah, let me tell you, as long as I live, don't even think about divorcing Owen. The Carter family's face can't be completely lost by you." "Oh, really?" I chuckled lightly. "Then you'd better live a long life." With that, I hung up directly and blocked her number. Immediately, I had my assistant Amy compile a list and sent it to Mrs. Carter's email. The list contained all the gifts I had given her over the past 3 years. From limited edition Hermes bags to jewelry auctioned at Sotheby's to the Chanel haute couture she wore. Every item had its purchase date and price listed. Total value, over 8 figures. At the end of the email, I added a sentence. "Mrs. Carter, since you think I'm unworthy of being the Carter family's daughter-in-law, these things should return to their original owner. Please pack them within 24 hours. My driver will come to pick them up. Oh, by the way, remember to clean and disinfect them. I find them dirty." After sending the email, I felt refreshed. You can't reason with people like this. You talk reason. She talks family affection. You talk family affection. She plays rogue. Only by hitting her hard in the face with what she cares about most, money and face, can she understand human language. Sure enough, in less than half an hour, Mrs. Carter called from someone else's phone, her tone full of exasperated roaring. I didn't answer. Let her roar. If she gets sick from anger, it saves me from seeing her in the future. Owen returned the next evening. He barged directly into my study, travel-worn, with heavy dark circles under his eyes, looking utterly wretched. Behind him followed a tear-stained Grace. "Sarah, how long are you going to keep this up?" He slammed a document on my desk, his voice full of suppressed rage. "Selling shares, allying with Julian, and now provoking my mom, just because I took Grace out to relax. Are you going to destroy everything we have?" I glanced at the document on the desk. It was a letter of intent for cooperation on one of Carter Corps' overseas projects. The partner was none other than Julian's biggest backer. I looked up at Grace behind him. She had changed into a pink dress today, wearing a diamond necklace around her neck. That necklace was won by Owen at an auction a few days ago, saying it was for our 3rd anniversary gift. Turns out, he gave it to her. I laughed, tears almost coming out. "Owen, do you think everything you did was just relaxing?" He seemed agitated by my laughter, stepping forward to grab my wrist. "What else?" "Grace. She's pregnant." His voice lowered, carrying a trace of imperceptible guilt and determination. "Sarah, I know I wronged you in this matter, but the child is innocent. Endure it for now. Once I sign this project and stabilize the company, I'll give you an explanation. We can discuss divorce then." He thought dropping this bombshell would make me break down, go crazy, and compromise for the Miller family's face. Grace also opportunely pushed her stomach out, a victor's smile on her face, her eyes full of provocation. The air seemed to freeze. I looked at them, the smile on my face growing wider. "Pregnant." I applauded lightly. "Congratulations, Mr. Carter. Double happiness." Owen frowned deeper. He didn't understand my reaction. I stood up slowly, walked in front of him, took a document from the desk drawer, and slapped it in front of him. "However, Mr. Carter, before congratulating you, shouldn't I tell you something?" I leaned into his ear, speaking word by word in a voice only the two of us could hear. "You, Owen Carter, have obstructed vas deferens. You are infertile. This diagnostic report is the one you asked me to pick up for you after your physical exam a year ago. I kept it specially for you. So, Owen." I looked straight at his instantly pale face, smiling even more brilliantly. "Tell me, whose bastard is in her belly?" Owen's face lost all color in an instant. He looked at me in disbelief, then suddenly turned to look at Grace. His gaze was like a knife, ready to slice Grace into pieces. "You lied to me." Grace was so scared she trembled all over, retreating repeatedly, her face pale as paper. "No, no, Owen. Listen to my explanation. The child is yours. Really yours. It's her. She forged the report to frame me." She pointed at me, screaming hysterically. I crossed my arms, watching this farce with leisure. "Forged," I scoffed. "Mr. Carter, I have backups of diagnostic reports from over a dozen top hospitals at home and abroad in the safe in my study. Do you want to see them one by one? Or, we can go to the hospital now for an amniocentesis and DNA test. Wouldn't everything be clear then?" Owen's body swayed as if all strength had been drained. He stared fixedly at Grace's flat stomach, his eyes full of disgust and humiliation. He had been played for a fool by this innocent girl he defended everywhere. "Get out." Owen squeezed a word through his teeth. Grace cried and stepped forward to grab his hand. "Owen, I love you. I did everything because I love you too much." I said get out. Owen flung her away violently. Grace lost her balance and fell to the ground. She lay on the floor, crying her heart out, and Owen couldn't be bothered to spare her another glance. He turned around, looking at me with an extremely complex expression: shock, regret, and a trace of pleading. "Sarah, Mr. Carter." I interrupted him coldly. "The farce is over. You can take your people and leave my house. Also, the divorce agreement will be delivered to your office by my lawyer tomorrow. I hope when you sign it, you can be as decisive as tonight." My words were like a basin of ice water, extinguishing the last spark in his eyes. He staggered, walking out in a trance. Grace's crying still echoed in the living room. Uncle Zhang walked over and said expressionlessly, "Miss Grace, please." After they left, the whole world was quiet. I sent a message to Julian. "The fish has taken the bait. Time to reel in the net." Julian replied instantly, "Showtime." Did Owen think that by dealing with Grace, he could come back to beg for forgiveness and salvage everything? He thought too simply. This fire he lit with his own hands was just starting to burn, and I would stand by and watch him. And everything he cherished turned to ashes. Owen probably really thought that as long as he dealt with Grace, there was still room for maneuvering between us. At 3 a.m. that night, my phone lit up abruptly. It was a photo. Under the harsh white light of the operating lamp, Grace was held down on the cold operating table by two burly orderlies, her face streaked with tears, mouth open in a silent scream. Immediately after, Owen sent a message. I got rid of the bastard in her belly. Sarah, I know I was wrong. The next day, holding a large bouquet of red roses, he appeared downstairs at the Miller Group. He wanted to see me. I had the receptionist tell him I was busy and had no time. He waited downstairs from morning till night, attracting countless onlookers. On the third day, he changed tactics and started sending me gifts. Today it was haute couture from my favorite jewelry brand. Tomorrow it was the out-of-print vinyl record I had always wanted to collect. Everything was returned unopened. On the fourth day, he went directly to my dad. My dad scolded me over the phone, saying I shouldn't be so willful, that couples fight at the head of the bed and make up at the foot, and asked me to give him a way out. I replied directly, Dad, you said yourself, a daughter of the Miller family will never suffer the slightest grievance. The other end went silent. I knew my dad was soft-hearted. He loved me but also valued the cooperation between the Miller and Carter families. Owen seized on this, trying to play the family card. Unfortunately, he calculated wrong. On the weekend, while I was arranging flowers with my mom at home, Owen barged in directly. He had lost a lot of weight, unshaven, suit wrinkled, completely devoid of his usual high spirits. He held a delicate gift box, me mom's favorite tea. Mom. His voice was hoarse as he forced an ingratiating smile. I came to see you. My mom looked at me and didn't speak, tacitly allowing him in. Sarah. He walked up to me, his eyes bloodshot and full of pleading. Can we talk, please? Just once. I put down the flower shears and wiped my hands. Okay. I took him to the garden pavilion. He pulled out a velvet box from his pocket, opened it, and inside was a diamond ring identical to the one I had thrown away. Sarah, I know I was wrong. He grabbed my hand, trying to put the ring on me. It was my fault. I was obsessed and deceived by that bitch Grace. Forgive me. Let's start over. Okay. His hand was cold and trembling slightly. I looked at him and suddenly found it laughable. Owen, do you think all the problems lie with Grace? He froze. Don't they? Of course not. I withdrew my hand and looked into his eyes. The problem lies with you. It was you who broke the trust between us. You who couldn't control yourself. You who destroyed our marriage with your own hands. Grace is just a projection of your inner desires. Without Grace, there would be Jane, or Mary. I picked up the ring and, under his hopeful gaze, casually tossed it into the pond nearby. Owen, I find it dirty. The light in his eyes went out completely. After being rejected by me, Owen seemed to become a different person. He stopped pestering me and devoted all his energy to work, trying to save Carter Core decline. Grace, after being abandoned by Owen, went completely crazy. First, she made a scene at Carter Corp and was dragged out by security. Then she started exposing things online, saying she was pregnant with Owen's child but was ruthlessly abandoned, attaching ambiguous photos to paint herself as a devoted and pitiful victim. For a time, Owen was pushed to the forefront of the storm. Carter Core stock price plummeted again. This was exactly what Julian and I wanted to see. Public opinion is a double-edged sword. Used well, it can kill invisibly. Owen was frantically dealing with the PR crisis, while Julian took the opportunity to start his acquisition plan. He first announced with a high profile that he would form a strategic partnership with Carter Core Nemesis Europe's Nolan Group. As soon as the news came out, Carter Core already precarious overseas market worsened. Immediately after, Julian began secretly contacting the wavering shareholders within Carter Corp. Coercion and inducement. The methods Owen once used against him were now returned with interest. Soon, Carter Core board of directors became a pile of loose sand. Owen was betrayed by everyone, facing trouble inside and out. I watched the miserable state of Carter Corp on the financial news every day in a great mood. One day, Amy knocked and entered, her expression strange. MS. Miller. A. MS. Grace wants to see you. I raised an eyebrow. Grace. What did she want with me? Let her in. A few minutes later, Grace walked in. She looked even more haggard than Owen, with sunken eyes and cheap clothes. Her arrogant air long gone. She stood before me, then thumped to her knees. "Ms. Miller, please. Save me." She cried that after her exposé, instead of sympathy. She was doxxed and cyberbullied by the whole internet. She had lost her job. Her reputation was ruined. And she owed a huge debt to loan sharks. "It's all Owen. He harmed me," she said through gritted teeth. "He said as long as I helped him act out this play, he would give me a large sum of money and send me abroad afterward. He said he had enough of you long ago. Said you were domineering and boring, like a robot. He said he needed an obedient woman to provoke you, make you jealous, make you care more about him." I listened quietly, expressionless. "So, you came to me wanting me to help you deal with him?" "Yes." She looked up, eyes full of crazy hatred. "As long as you help me pay off the debt and let me start over, I can do anything for you. I can hold a press conference and tell everyone the truth. I want to ruin his reputation." Looking at her face twisted by jealousy and hatred, I suddenly laughed. I took out my phone and pressed record. "All right," I said. "Say what you just said again." Thinking she had grabbed a lifeline, Grace unhesitatingly retold her and Owen's plan with embellishments. Every detail was filled with venom toward Owen. When she finished, I put away the phone with satisfaction. "Very good." Grace looked at me expectantly. Then, "My money." I stood up, walked to her, and looked down at her. "Ms. Grace, did you misunderstand something? Why would I help you?" Grace's expression froze. Didn't you say?" I said, "Say it again." "I didn't say I'd help you." I smiled like an innocent devil. "Someone like you can betray Owen for money today, and betray me for money tomorrow. Why should I invest in trash?" Grace's face turned purple instantly. She jumped up from the ground, trying to hit me. "Sarah, you played me." Amy and the security guards rushing in stopped her in time. "Throw her out," I ordered indifferently. "Sarah, you bitch. I won't let you go. You'll all die horrible deaths." Grace's curses were shut outside the door. I sent the recording to Julian. "A gift for you." Half an hour later, this recording appeared online. Title: Drama of the Year. Wealthy CEO hires mistress to stage pregnancy forced abdication just to win back wife. In the recording, Grace's voice was crystal clear, painting Owen as a despicable scumbag playing with emotions. Now, the whole internet exploded. Netizens who previously sympathized with Grace instantly turned their guns, cursing Owen and Grace. Owen get out of business became the top trending topic. Carter Core stock price hit the limit down right after opening. The board held an emergency meeting overnight and removed Owen from the CEO position. The business empire he built with his own hands ruthlessly expelled him overnight. Sitting in my office, watching the traffic outside, I took a sip of the coffee Amy just brewed. "Smells so good." Julian called, unable to suppress the laughter in his voice. "Sarah, this move of borrowing a knife to kill was beautiful." "Likewise." I chuckled. "Without you fanning the flames, this fire wouldn't burn so bright." "Want to celebrate tonight?" he invited. "For our shared victory." "Sure." I thought it was time to put a perfect period on this farce. The celebration was on Julian's private yacht. The evening breeze was gentle, and the river view was beautiful. Julian and I clinked glasses. "Carter Corp is finished." Looking at the distant lights, Julian sighed. "What's left is just vultures dividing the carcass." "Thanks," I said sincerely. "I should be the one thanking you." He turned, his peach blossom eyes looking exceptionally serious in the night. "If not for you, I might never have had the chance for revenge." He paused, then asked, "What are your plans next? Travel, read, or open a flower shop?" I shrugged. "Who knows? No plans to take over the Miller Group. My dad is still young." I smiled. "I just want to live a relaxed life." We smiled at each other, understanding without words. Just then, my phone rang. It was a strange number. I picked up, and from the other end came Owen's hoarse, despairing voice. "Sarah, I'm on the rooftop, top floor of the Carter building." My heart sank abruptly. "You won." He sounded like he was crying, yet laughing. "I have nothing left. Home, career, lover, all gone." "Sarah, tell me, What were those 3 years to us? Did you ever love me? His voice trembled in the wind, carrying a last shred of humble pleading. I was silent for a long time. The yacht's whistle, the lapping water, all became distant. Holding the phone, I looked at the brilliant city skyline, where he once lit up a whole building for me. I did. I heard myself say calmly, because I loved. I cannot forgive. Owen, it was you who killed my love with your own hands. On the other end was a long silence. Then, I heard a light laugh, like relief, or self-mockery. I understand. Sarah, finally, can I ask you one more question? Speak. My infertility report was fake too, right? My breathing stopped for a second. I didn't answer, but he seemed to know the answer already. Heh. Ha ha ha. He laughed crazily. So, from the beginning, I lost, utterly. Sarah, you are ruthless. With that, the call was hung up. I held the phone, standing there, not moving for a long time. Julian walked over and patted my shoulder gently. He'll be fine. I know. I nodded. People like Owen cherish their lives the most. He was just unwilling to accept defeat. Owen didn't jump. He just wanted to use this method to gain my last sympathy. Or perhaps, to leave a thorn in my heart that couldn't be pulled out. Unfortunately, I was long immune to poison. A few days later, Carter Corp announced bankruptcy and reorganization. Julian acquired Carter Corp core assets with lightning speed, becoming the new business elite. And Owen disappeared completely from public view. I heard he sold all his assets to barely pay off his debts and now lived a sloppy life in an unknown small city. As for Grace, her fate was worse. Loan sharks couldn't find Owen, so they put all the debts on her. She was photographed being chased and beaten on the street, looking wretched. Later, there was no more news of her. Everyone who hurt me got their deserved retribution. This months-long storm finally settled. I gave myself a long vacation. I went to Iceland to see the aurora, skied in Switzerland, and watched the animal migration on the African savanna. I did everything I wanted to do, but had no time for in the past 3 years. Half a year later, I returned. At the airport, I unexpectedly met Julian. He was more composed than before, his brows full of high spirits. What a coincidence, he greeted with a smile. Yes, what a coincidence. Mind if I give you a ride? Sure. In the car, we talked about recent events. His company was developing well, and my flower shop was about to open. Oh right. He suddenly remembered something, took an envelope from the passenger seat, and handed it to me. This, I think, should still be given to you. I opened it doubtfully. Inside was a divorce agreement, and a letter. The letter was written by Owen, the handwriting messy, showing his chaotic state of mind at the time. The content was long, mostly nonsense about regret. He said he only wanted to use Grace to make me jealous. Didn't expect she would get pregnant. Nor did he expect things to spiral out of control. He said he loved me, from beginning to end. Only me. I scanned it quickly, only feeling irony, until the last line caught my eye. Sarah, if I could turn back time, I would have knelt and begged you the moment you took off the ring. Expressionless, I tore the letter and the divorce agreement into pieces, then rolled down the window, letting the fragments scatter in the wind. Julian watched me in the rearview mirror without speaking. The car arrived at my door. Thank you. I unbuckled my seatbelt. Sarah. He suddenly called me. You're free. He looked at me, sincere joy in his peach blossom eyes. Wish you eternal freedom. I paused, then smiled too. Thank you. You too. Yes. I am free. From a failed marriage. From a wrong relationship. Completely liberated. The future is long, and I will live my life more brilliantly than ever with my freedom.